Good evening, good evening, good evening. And it's so lovely to see everybody back again. Wow, isn't it hot today, everybody? I'm really sorry if I have meltdown as we go through the evening. I'm really not coping. Hi. It's so lovely to be back again this Wednesday evening as we continue our celebrations for our 1-year anniversary. My name is Giz Ojiako, and I'm the Director for Programs for SaffronSACAP. And with me today, I have my colleagues. I'm flanked, I'm in the middle, so I have them either side. And I've got Marcia. So Marcia, if you'd like to unmute and introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us again on a very hot and sweaty Wednesday evening in London. I'm enjoying the heat. I'm not sure about Gaze, but I am. As usual, we are always happy to have you on board. And as we continue our celebration in June, I wish you'll enjoy a good evening with us. My name is Marcia Eliza, and I'm the Director for Youth Engagement and Intervention.
Also, we have with us our boss. Yemi, would you like to unveil and introduce yourself, please?
Don't know about the unveil. Good evening, everybody. Good evening here in the UK. Good evening in Nigeria, Africa, in the Caribbean, in US. Actually, good evening the world over in this global village that we're all in. So it's evening here, morning somewhere in the world, and it's mid-afternoon somewhere else and midnight somewhere else. But thank you for joining us. And as always, we do not take it for granted that you take time to spend time with us here on the voiceover talk show. I am going to be your host on Facebook as always. Please leave your comments, leave your questions, interact, share, please. Let's get all our community talking about the issues that we address every week. Join our YouTube channels, please, and subscribe. Okay, it's going to be a lovely evening. It is warm, I take it. I've got a fan on and I'm still baking. So I don't know how you're coping with it, Marcia, because you're just like, I'm fine. Can't hear you.
I've got a cooler on me, that's why.
Hey,
I'm,
she does look very cool.
I'm cheating.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. And we want to say welcome to our two early birds. Chidi, thank you so much for coming on. And Auntie Grace, as always, it's a pleasure to have you in our midst today. Yes, so like I said when we started, we are continuing with the leading up to our 1 year anniversary, guys. Oh my days, next week Wednesday it would be 1 year Saffron took to the stage, and we can only give God all the glory because we're still standing, so 12 months later, post COVID, we're still here, you're still here. Most importantly, Facebook, I want to say a big welcome to our Facebook family who always come on. Thank you so much. As normal, Yemi will be your anchoress. So any questions, any statements, feel free to type it in on the Facebook page, and Yemi will be throwing those questions to myself. And we want to have a discussion. We want to bandy ideas. We want to hear from you. So if there are any people out there on Facebook who are in education, who work in schools, who work with children, please share, get in here and share. We cannot do anything unless we work together, hashtag together we can. And we are very hot on working with everybody. And yes, we come on here as a platform, but it's not about us. It's, we open the floor to be able to hear your voices. We want to understand. So we're having a discussion today. And because we're doing a 1 year review, which is what we've been doing over the past few months, and I think this would have been pre-summer last year, we looked at schools and we looked at how schools are coping with COVID, during COVID and post-COVID. And we'd had a few shows around this topic, which highlighted some very salient issues that we thought were very necessary to discuss. And we looked at the fact that based on the lockdown, there was a lot of abuse that children were facing, being cooped up in the home with parents who pre-COVID were not normally at home. So, then we've gone forward, and that has led to a lot of mental health in our young people. So then it was, how were the schools going to cope? Because we're still balancing COVID, even till now, we're still balancing COVID. And then we've also got the issue of young people with mental health. And then you roll forward to June 2021. And what pops up in our headlines? Ofsted accused of massive safeguarding failure, sexual abuse in our schools. And we as an organization, we do try to keep current, we try to keep ourselves out there and up there. And it threw us because when we sat down, we sat down and we talked with our team, and what came to our minds were, okay, so we've got COVID, pre-COVID, we've got post-COVID, and now we've got this. How has this happened? How is this happening? And it's not just that it's happening now, it's happening 5 years after, it's happening 5 years on from a case and a report that had been done 5 years ago. Now, we all know, for those of you that don't know, when you have these serious case reviews and the government bring a committee of people together and they do their research and then they come out, the idea is to come out with best possible outcomes, okay? And how to achieve those outcomes is, what are the changes that will need to be made? What should we be doing differently from 5 years ago? If we had such a talk 5 years ago, I guess the question is, why are we still here 5 years later? So I'm going to hand over to you, Yemi. I don't know if you can be able to throw in some light as to what this report is talking about, and yourself as well, Marcia. I don't know if you can also help me to throw in some light, and then we can, whilst we're waiting for people to come on, both on Facebook and on the Zoom. And please, those of you, Chidi and Auntie Grace, those of you that are already on, please feel free to lend your voices, because we need to be the change that we want to see. There is a massive problem. If somebody as big as Ofsted is failing us, and that's the umbrella, what hope do we have? And if we're hopeless, then I can't understand how our children, what they're going to be going through. So I'm opening the floor to you guys now. Please feel free to share your comments.
Okay, thanks, Giz. I don't know. Let's start from the fact that what you said, that it was 5 years ago when we first had this review, and 5 years on, it has moved to the word massive. And when you use that word massive, you don't want to start thinking about the children that have been failed within that system or that framework. So we have the Conservative MP, Maria Milles, who has accused Ofsted of a massive safeguarding failure. And I'm sharing this screen so that you can see the first part of it. We will be discussing the remaining part of it. But after the report, she said that it showed that sexual harassment and abuse in schools is so complacent or commonplace that students don't bother to report it. Do you know, I know that we have designated safeguarding officers or safeguarding lead officers in schools. I know that for a fact that we have early intervention teams in schools. I know for a fact that most of the teachers have been trained on or have received training on level 1 safeguarding in schools. I know that there's a lot of work going on in schools. My question is, with all of this surrounding the support that's supposed to be in place for students, how is it possible that there is a massive safeguarding failure? And there is something I always say, that we tend to continue to learn at the expense of these children. An abuse happens, a serious case reviews ensues, and we have what we call learnings from it. And we have recommendations and learnings. But when we have recommendations and learnings right from Victoria, let's even not stop. Let's start from Victoria. Right from then, do you know how many learnings we've had? We continue to learn. Where do we get to a place whereby we actually had some lessons and we now have within schools early help, early safeguarding support? We already have designated safeguarding officers, and all the officers are trained, all the teachers are trained. How then do we have this happening to our young children in schools? She actually also posted, Mila also posted on Twitter that this is not news. This is not new news. So it's something that has been going on, and and then she said revealed so comprehensively in 2016. We've had a look at that report as well, and to be honest with you, in 5 years, you're looking at what gaps did we close? Did we close gaps? Where are they effective for our children? And I'm thinking from this report that no, it doesn't seem like it is. So, what we're going to be looking at today are the sort of issues that cause this sexual abuse have made it rampant in schools. I guess we were discussing earlier, and I'm going to stop share at the moment so I can see your faces. It looks like we're in the same
Yeah,
room.
I just want to add that yes, Ofsted has, there are policies in place, there are designated safeguarding needs, teachers are trained, but some schools see this as an exercise. We just need to get the policy down because Ofsted says so. We need to put the policy on the website because that's what's meant to happen. No, but are they really, really following the policies? And when someone, you know, says that they were abused or anything, do they do anything about it? They put it under the carpet. They sweep it under the carpet. Lots of schools do that, and you find, and this, I might be speaking out of term, but because I have experience in schools, some schools would say that doesn't happen here. That wouldn't happen in our school. That doesn't happen here. And if they report it, especially if it's a prestigious school, that's us going down in the league tables. That's our reputation going down the drain.
Yeah.
So they sweep it under the carpet. But they have the lovely policy. And when Ofsted comes and Ofsted asks, well, what do you do when this happens? They know exactly what to say.
Yeah.
It's Ofsted not actually looking for the proper evidence. And also not doing spot inspections as well.
Mm, mm.
An inspection is coming up, so you prepare for it. You do the paperwork, you run around nights on end, making sure that the boxes are ticked. But when there isn't an inspection, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Now I think you just picked on the buzzword, Marcia. Tick boxes. I think for a lot of times within the work that we do, not to mention names, is that we're constantly ticking boxes. And as long as that box is ticked, then we're good to go. So is it that we should be using the phrase as we coin it, it's become so, what is asking the difficult questions, asking the questions that you really don't want to hear the answers to, but we must ask those questions. We
Yes.
must be thinking well outside the box. And also, as you said, I actually believe that Ofsted did a lot of spot checks because I know where we've sat in. We have the 20, is it the 2 day notice?
They
You
used
know
to
that.
They
more.
used to, it stopped.
They used to more. There were more spot checks.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore. Not as yeah. So I know of a school who's been preparing for Ofsted since last year. So they're getting on. They're getting things in place. So no, they used to. I mean, I've worked in education and I've worked in social care, and also in health. Even though it's not Ofsted, where you just turn up at work and Ofsted's at your door.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
that's the
used
way
to
it should
happen.
be.
That used to happen.
Yeah. When Chidi has asked, I don't think he can actually come on camera. Are there punitive measures? So what Chidi's asked for, he said, are there punitive measures for failure?
Can you just break that down for us, please? What do you mean?
Chidi, are you able to talk? Can I ask you to unmute? I don't know if he's at work and listening because it's possible.
When you, I'm trying to get a clearer picture of what he's asking. But when you say punitive measures, I believe that there are stages. There are where the school's failing, where they're good, outstanding,
Yeah.
and there are four
Okay,
categories.
so if they fail to meet the standards, is there any punishment for this?
Well,
Yeah.
it's not punishment as
Not pun-
such.
Yeah.
It's more rating.
Ratings.
So there's a rating for inadequate. There's a rating for
Special measures.
It used to be special measures, inadequate,
Good.
good, and
Good and
outstanding, I think.
outstanding.
But
Yeah.
I think it's less now.
It's
Because
less.
what actually happens with special measures, you are given an improvement plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're given time to work on this improvement plan. And they'll come back. And if you haven't improved, they give you more improvement. There isn't never a time when they say, we're going to shut you down. And I think that's the thing that doesn't happen very often.
Yes.
What can happen though, and say for example in the case of an independent school, they can sack the board of directors and they can sack the board of governors and move in.
Yes.
But it takes a while before it gets there.
Yes. And one thing that is highlighted in the report, it seems that because it states here that there are 6% of the schools had recorded sexual harassment allegations, even though the evidence showed that the evidence showed that there was there was a higher percentage of sexual harassment cases. So it looks like there is a case of what we call underreporting. It's a case, it looks like the schools don't want their schools to be aligned with this kind of headlines because, you've got the league tables, you've got the, people not wanting, and I think in line with what you asked, Chidi, about the punitive measures, you heard what Marcia said. It's just that scale, the ranking. And I think that the ranking, I don't believe they even have outstanding anymore because you normally, I know for Ofsted and CQC, because CQC regulate healthcare, Ofsted regulate obviously education. When CQC do the inspections and the parastatals are found wanting, they've been known to close down care homes, to close down agencies. But I've never known a school, even with special measures, like you said, Marcia, what happens is they're now given, like a time frame to get things up to speed. And this report was done with 32 schools were part of this report. So it's quite a high number of schools and 900 pupils. But I think the problem I'm having with this report, and I wish somebody could, help me here. There's an emphasis on the female child. So there's an emphasis on the girls, the young girls, and the young girls being subjected to sexual harassment. And when I listened to there was a talk on Sky News, and somebody said, why is the emphasis only on the young girls? Because if we're saying this is sexual harassment, then it obviously means that the other party have an issue and something needs to be done. So that there are victims here and there are perpetrators, okay? We are focusing on this once it's happened rather than focusing on how to prevent it from happening, yeah? So I don't know if anybody has anything to add to that. I'm just going to try and read what is being put in the chat. So it says, to digress a little, a child went missing a little while ago, and when reported to the police, they said it was the parents' responsibility to know where the son was. They didn't take responsibility for the security, but shifted the responsibility back to the parents. The system is designed and is working to mess youth up. There is now a push to get rid of school uniforms. This in time when kids are being abducted, a uniform is a primary form of identification. Okay, so in line with that, I will still emphasize why there is a direct attention being paid to young girls, because are we then saying that young boys are not sexually harassed? Do you see? I'm a bit worried. It's a bit of a one-sided report, and I am in no way diminishing the fact that young girls are being sexually harassed in any way, shape, or form. But what I am worried about is how in 32 schools, 900 pupils, and the focus is only on the girl child, it's a big problem for me, because it could also be that how we have, when we did our domestic abuse program, and what came up, what was a very poignant message, was that men are also being abused, but they're just not talking about it. Could this be the same with the young boys, that they're being abused sexually and harassed sexually and not talking about it? So please lend your voices to this, guys. And if you're listening on Facebook, and if you've got anything you want to add, if you've got professionals out there who can, all kids are being molested. Prevention lies in shutting down groups that promote sex-related activities for young groups. Okay, yes, you know, it's all part of the prevention measures that we're talking about as an organization, you know, and we need to be able to safeguard the young children. But I still think, okay, so Chidi says boys are majorly harassed too. However, a particular group is pushing to keep this quiet. I'm sure he's at work because he's got a lot to say behind. We all know the group. Okay, so Chidi thinks that the boys are being harassed as well, and not being able to speak up or speak out about it. That's a bit of a worry. That is a bit of a worry for me.
Is it that not that they're not being able to speak out, for one, or is it that when they do speak out, they do not get taken seriously?
Yeah.
It probably is also the macho thing as well. Boys don't talk about these things. Because especially in our culture, if a boy is being abused, he might think, or others might think he's probably gay. You've got to think, you know, they think like that as well. So they attach some homosexuality to it as well and feel ashamed of it. So they sometimes don't speak out. And you find a lot of males who've been abused, especially boys. There's this homophobic behavior that really affects them, and sometimes that's the one that causes lots of the mental health issues, because they then think they are, you know, because they were subjected to that abuse, sometimes from childhood, and sometimes from relatives, sometimes from friends, you know. So they, you know, sometimes they don't speak out. So it's the psychological element of it with boys. And also, because, look at how biased the report is as well.
Yeah.
People sort of expect girls to be sexually assaulted. So it's no big deal for when a girl says she's been sexually assaulted, because people expect it. And they might speak about it more freely because they themselves think probably boys don't get assaulted because the boys assault us, you know? So they think like that. So you find they'll speak more than boys. Boys shut up a lot. They keep a lot in before they speak.
Yes. And where do parents come into all this? Because I read the report and I'm not sure, unless somebody can put me right, you know, I'm thinking, okay, you've gone around to 32 schools, 900 pupils. Where do parents fit in? Because does it mean our children are being sexually harassed and we're not being told? What happened to incident reporting in schools? You know, when there's an incident in a school, is that not meant to be documented when the parent comes to pick up the child? Is a parent not supposed to be able to sign that document to say, I have been made aware of an incident in the school with my child? See, so you see, these things worry me, because then it means when we put our kids in school and we sign all those forms and we sign the safeguarding policies and we sign to say we give consent for our children to go here, there, or anywhere, in that same vein, why are we as parents being sidelined by the schools? Are they not being open enough to us to let us know that this is what is happening in our schools? You know, and I'm talking from a parent's angle now. I'm talking from somebody who goes to pick up my son or my daughter, and God forbid something like this has happened, and I've not been asked to sign a form. I don't know if anybody has had that happen, or if that is what is happening.
Well, I'm from the report, it's saying that in all these schools that were reviewed and these children, there's only 6% that have reported in. They're 6 out of 10, 6%. It's not even 10%.
Mm-hmm.
So if the remaining 90, I don't know maths, 94%,
Yeah.
the remaining 94%
Mm-hmm.
are not speaking, then how do the parents get aware?
Okay. I love why you said that, Yemi, but do you remember you schooled here? I schooled here. Marcia, I believe you came much later, but do you remember now they have what they call pastoral, they have pastoral
You still have them.
right. That's what I know. When I was in school, I didn't have it. We didn't have all this where you could go for emotional, and we didn't have it. I believe this would have been probably in the 80s, all this started coming up. My problem now is with the pastoral groups support you have in schools, with the PHSE, which you have in schools, which is talking about sexual education and da. If we have all these in schools, how then are these children unable? Because sometimes children can't speak up at home.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is why these groups have been set up, so your child will be free to tell a neutral person what is happening. If we have these groups in the schools, are they not effective? Are they not working?
Exactly. That was my first opening, that if we have all of these in schools, so why are one, the children not reporting?
Mm-hmm.
Why are parents not being able to well, let's go back to your question initially before we moved on, was what are the parents job, or what part do parents play in this? And I had a discussion earlier on as we're talking about this, and it was the fact that a lot of times parents see schools as a haven to drop their children off, and once they're off in there, they're going about to do their own business. As parents, we leave a lot for the education system. And I know that from a couple sort of needs assessments that we sent out around our parenting group, that many parents have not even taken the time to have that sexual the bees and the what do you call them, the bees and
The birds and the bees.
that's it, the birds and the bees. I know the bees were in there somewhere. They haven't had the birds and the bees discussion with their children, and um this makes the children, puts them back on the back foot a lot, which we should just really take it on ourselves, that we have a part to play as parents in the education. It's not only about books. Education of our children is not only about books. It's also about well-being. It's also about social inclusion. It's about it's a holistic, the school environment is a holistic field for our children to be in. So it's a triangle, as I call it. It's a triangle. It's the students, the parents, and the schools. And
Yes.
if we
Yeah.
do not, if yeah, it's a triangular partnership. And if we're not holding on and having this, this communication within this field, then it's a, you have a triangle. When one side drops off, it will collapse. There is no way it will hold up.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
yeah. It's also come from a place where some parents are just not capable of conversation with their children because they didn't have that conversation.
Yeah.
They're not empowered enough to have that conversation. They're not educated enough to have that conversation. So it could be dangerous if they're not educated enough. What sort of conversation they'll be having with these
You're gonna
children?
have, yeah.
And that's where parenting classes come in.
Mm.
But
Can I?
how do we
Okay.
know who needs these parenting classes if they don't access it or if they're not referred for these parenting
Sure.
classes? So it goes back to the triangle and goes back round and around
Sure.
again. So yes,
Sure.
I think some parents don't have the conversation because they're not capable of having the conversation, and others just bury their heads in the sand
Okay.
and
Well,
hope the school will
Can
just.
I say something?
Yes, please. Is your hand up? Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Hi. Evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Shidi.
Thanks again. Sorry. If I may say this, I think yes, I do agree that a lot of parents don't really know how. But if we consider the fact that there are so many resources available right now for parents to educate themselves, and it's also a great need. There are so many resources for parents to educate themselves. Also, I think it's a great need for parents to educate themselves on how to train their children, how to teach their children the things that the school is teaching, because the things that the schools are teaching right now are leading a lot of children the wrong way. I'm going to be honest about this. Most of the things that we're talking about, you have primary school children being taught about sex. People in their fifth year being taught about sex in school. Things that they should be encouraging parents, things that they should be encouraging parents to teach their daughters, they're teaching themselves. You have issues where kids in their fifth year are becoming a little too aware of their bodies. You understand? Too aware of what's going on with their bodies. You're opening these kids up for grooming. Now the system, I'm going to say this, the system is grooming the kids before all these other people or the sexual harassment comes in. It's, for me, it's subtle sexual harassment. I think that it's almost like they're tilling the soil. That's what they're doing, because you can't have a kid in primary school being taught about sex under the guise of hygiene. If you're talking to a child about hygiene, you should be talking about having a bath, brushing your teeth, an apple a day, keep the doctor away, blah, 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 all of those things. Keep your clothes clean. Mom and daddy should teach you how to use a washing machine. Not sex. The puberty talk, truth be told, should be something schools of nowadays should encourage parents to become a part of that training process. Schools should train parents to train the children. You can't, I have kids that have passed through primary school and I've declined on those classes. And I've said, you can't teach my child, what I'm teaching them, because I don't know what else you're going to teach them. And my kids will come back to say, other kids that have attended those classes came back talking about sex, not about hygiene. When these kids in primary school become aware of sex, their bodies start to respond to this. They become sexually aware. They become a prey. When somebody approaches them, next thing is their bodies respond. They don't understand how and why, but their bodies start to respond. And
Okay,
I like,
Chidi, can I interject?
Yeah.
Sorry
Yeah,
to
go ahead.
interrupt you. In line with this Ofsted report then, and obviously because obviously you're one of the parents who have not allowed your children to have why do you think then there have been these mass failings? And secondly, as a parent too, where and how do you think parents can, I know you said they should train the parents to, well, that's what Marcia said earlier on, parenting classes, yeah? So that's when you're saying to train the parents, it would be parents come to train parenting classes. I don't think schools have the resources to train parents, to be honest. They're struggling with training our kids. So yeah, where would you say, or what would you say is the issue here? Because it's young girls that they focused on in the report out of the 32 schools and 900 pupils.
Yes.
So from your perspective, because obviously I know you've got young ones, what can you lend your voice to that particular report?
Now, if the report is saying in terms of sexual harassment, we're talking about sexual harassment being predominantly female.
Yes, that's what it's saying. A lot of young girls.
Well, I did say this in in the chat. I was trying to be politically correct
Yes,
when
please
I
stay
answered.
politically correct.
Yeah, yes, I'm gonna do my very best to. A lot of kids, a lot of these girls wear all sorts of things.
Mhm.
They get their schools are not as strict as they used to be back in the day. Right now, children are allowed to wear almost anything they like. And because parents are not being trained, that they allow their girls look like the girls that they see on the shows, forgetting that the show girls don't dress like that every day. They dress like that to perform. They don't dress like that to go to school or go to work. No. Okay. These girls have they get all their icons, their role models are on the internet. The school is not a lot of schools. Some schools are doing their best, but a lot of schools aren't. The focus of young girls being sexually harassed, I will try to be politically correct as I answer this, for me is some sort of cover up because I know that boys are being sexually harassed too. Okay? The fact that it's not being announced means there is a cover up. And I do understand what sorry, I've forgotten your name, had said, I think it was Marcia that said, the fear of boys speaking up, to say, look at what's happened to me, blah, blah, blah. I do agree. Yes, that is one part of it. The other part of it is I strongly believe there's a strong movement to just keep a lot of things quiet. I will say that and still stay as politically correct as I can. What should be done? Where you say schools don't have the resources to train parents, I'm not saying schools should bring parents in and train them. Leaflets, pamphlets with information, give them to the parents. That was what happened back in the day when I was small. You give parents things to read in their spare time. You understand? They're not giving the kids all the homework they should. They're busy doling out detentions for little things. And then kids, growing up, if a kid was to swear at a teacher, you get your mouth washed out with soap. Nowadays, all the rules protect the kids. So a kid's gonna swear at a teacher, and the teacher's gonna say detention, but go and face the wall. I'll face the wall for a week if you want me to. If you let me tell you my mind. I couldn't do that when I was a kid. You understand? So for me, why is that kind of a report coming out? The whole system right now is warped. Children are being protected from parents raising them right. So the girls wear what they like. My child actually asked me this morning, my son asked me this morning, I was dropping him off at school. He said, why do these girls always wear short skirts? I said, because they want to show off their legs.
Can I tell you a truth about those skirts? Those skirts are not short skirts. That's one thing you need to understand. Those skirts are long skirts being rolled up. So where are they? But listen to this. Where are they dressing? They are dressing from home. So you see, sometimes too, I think as much as yes, Ofsted have messed up, but parents have to take some kind of responsibility, because if my child is leaving the house and your skirt is above the knee, but when I bought that skirt, it was a skirt that was at the knee, and I know you're not a seamstress, that means you did not cut that skirt. That means you've rolled that skirt. We will be having a conversation. So
a very long one.
I just think, you said leaflets. Let's be real. The internet is there. Most parents are on social media as well. We are the WhatsApp generation, our generation of mothers and fathers. There's a lot of information out there to help all of us. Thank you so much for your interjection, Chidi. I think.
Can I comment? Sorry, Giz, 2 seconds. I think Chidi actually put out some points that were hitting the mark.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, and especially about the fact that parents, and that comes back to the triangle, because we had this as an intervention actually some years ago. This triangle partnership with schools. It was an intervention we had in social care a few years ago. And it is the fact that yes, those leaflets, because there's some parents who don't use the internet. Some still can't afford the internet, unfortunately, even in the days that we live in. And then it's about looking at the social media handles that parents use most. So what's wrong with having a PTA parents WhatsApp group? and spreading
Lovely.
that information via that space.
Sure.
It's about using what you have
Lovely.
to get your message out.
Yeah.
And there are so many WhatsApp groups within schools,
Yeah.
and it's about using those handles to send the message out. A lot of times, some parents do not know that we had teenage parents programs some time ago, so many years ago. And I think a lot of that has stopped because of
Mhm.
the 2010 downturn and all these service cuts that we've had. But we had those teenage parenting programs. These teenage parents have grown into adult parents,
Yeah.
but I believe there has been a time warp.
Yes.
There's a where they have not had that parenting advice and support to grow into parents that effectively protect and prevent harm to their children.
You're
So
right.
there is a lot of learning and a lot of dissemination that needs to come from services, from the government, from the schools to parents, irrespective of what they know, what they don't know. Just give out a universal message, because you'd be surprised that even to parents who know, you're able to catch them out because they see it. And they, after you've seen it 5, 6, 7 times, do you know what? Let's just have this conversation,
Yeah.
and we will have that. Marcia.
Um, I'm going to disagree a little bit with some of what Chidi said.
Mm.
In terms of PHSE classes in primary school, I do agree with it. However, with parents' involvement. So
Yeah.
the material must be vetted first by the parents. I have been involved in schools before where I've done that. So before we engage in telling year fives and year sixes about their bodies, we've had a consultation with the parents.
Parents.
We have had parents who hadn't engaged, and we had parents who engaged. So I know you think they're being sexualized very early, but the kids of today are very advanced.
Very.
And social media, there's everything there. So to me, it's warning and education early,
Yep.
because you don't want them to grow up ignorant.
There you go.
And that's how I see it. So I do agree with it in school, but it must be vetted by the family, with the school before the engagement. Because I
But a
have
lot of these families don't get engaged. That's the
exactly, I
problem.
was going to say that, and
The
that's the
people who
problem.
Good.
should don't.
Then
Good.
I remember when the first time when it was happening with my kids. I mean, I was in a fortunate position because I was part of the governing body, but I categorically said that element you don't teach them, that element you do. Let's
Yeah.
take this to the parents.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, but it must be vetted and agreed with the parents.
Parents.
But when there's no
Marshall,
parent engagement, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
Marsha, that was lovely. Thank you so much. While I agree with your point, I will say too. I think the presentation varies from school to school too, because you have different people delivering these talks.
Yeah.
Even though they always do have somebody, I think, from the government coming around who is
to
versed
check.
in this.
Mhm.
But then you always need to check. And for me, I don't take chances with what my kids are being exposed to, because I'm teaching my kids these things. But then I believe in balance. If I'm going to teach someone in his fifth to sixth year, about his body at that level in school, because what's happening with the internet is this and that, I should be teaching them about other things. I should be teaching them self-defense. I should be teaching them protection. I should be teaching them about the relationship with the police in society. I should be teaching them about other things. I think I should be talking clearly about race in this day and age. If we're talking about all the things that the internet could expose them to, I should be talking to lay that much emphasis on all other things. I just declined 2 weeks ago, I think, in a letter. And the letter said, is there anything else you think we can talk about? And I gave them a list of things that that should be introduced to kids that for me that are age appropriate. While I agree that the internet has a lot of things, your kids are exposed to the internet to the degree you allow them to be. My children don't have devices that allow them do that.
Chidi, sorry, I'm gonna stop you there. You just made a comment, and you said your kids are exposed or to the internet to the degree you allow them. Let me tell you one. It's not a secret, but it's an open secret, and especially within our community. Forget it. Your children will never tell you the dark side of the internet they're looking at. And I know that for a fact. Your children won't. What you probably have is the fact that you're raising them in the way you're raising them. They will see these things and think, well, this is not for me. But as for none of us are in control of what our kids look at on the internet. Not one of us. And that is probably why they brought in the PHSE.
Yeah, kids, let me say this. Even though I know your kids are older than mine, but let me say this. Every single thing it's only my daughter that has a phone.
Yeah.
My son just got one. And
right.
At 8 o'clock, the rule is 8 o'clock every single day. Yeah. The phone is in my top drawer.
Yeah.
But outside of that, their phones are connected to ours.
Oh, they don't need their phones. Just forget about their phones.
I'm coming. Everything.
What we'll do, we're gonna have.
Okay.
You should have been in our millennial talk, and we're gonna have another millennial, probably August.
No stress. That'll be great.
And we'll bring this topic in because I think it's an amazing, and I'm happy you brought it up. It's an amazing topic, for us to have. But obviously, we want to try and stick to the Ofsted.
No problem. No, go ahead.
Yeah, so that we don't digress because people are watching. Right. But yeah, and I love what you said about it should be. You agreed with Marcia where you talked about the classes. You should be in consent. There should be an agreement. I think that's right. There should be an agreement. I want to liken this to our Home Office engagement forum, where adults are being, this is not children, these are not young people, adults are being misinformed on their immigration statuses by adults. And this is what I'm trying to talk about here, why I'm bringing this in. I'm trying to get you to understand what wrong information or hearing information from the wrong source can do. So if an adult can be misinformed on immigration, then a 5-year-old child can be misinformed on sexual education. And I think it's that premise that the government has brought in the PHSE, but you are right. There should be an agreement, because every family is unique and they run their families according to how they run their families. So you should, as a family, as the family unit, have a say in what you want your children to be taught. But let me just say this, and I'll say this, and we'll talk about it when we do the millennial. Our children, none of us knows what these children do when we're not with them. They will not use their phones to surf the internet because they know mommy and daddy can track their phones. Tried and tested. And I almost died the day I found out. So let's leave it at that. Okay. Right. So yeah. Back to tonight's, the failings in the Ofsted report. How can parents? My issue here is parents. How can we step in and do? Yeah, I'm throwing the floor open.
Welcome, Nene. So you joining us?
Hi, Nene, you're back from work. How are you? All the way from Lagos. How are you? It would be nice to hear your perspective on, sexual harassment in young children, whether it's in the church. And yes, guys, we didn't even we talked about information sharing, and we left out our faith organizations, because that's another wonderful platform for our young people to be taught, to be for the information to be passed on. The faith organizations can't be left out. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I'm thinking the faith organizations can't be left.
Yeah.
It's almost a bit like the schools, isn't it? It won't happen here.
Oh yes. That's the lyrics we always get
Yeah,
from that. It
it
won't
won't
happen
happen
here.
here.
It can't happen. It can't happen
It
here.
can't happen here. They
We're
can't
all we're all yeah, we're
have
all
to
religious
cover.
people.
Yeah, they're having the safeguarding policy because they have to have it, or they're not having the safeguarding policy because they're on the ground.
Yes.
So yes, it's and I think with some faith organizations, it's a more dangerous place because at least in schools there are a variety of people in various positions, whereas you find some of the faith organization, it might be a family, husband and wife, and their friends
Yes.
covering up for one another.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think it could be a much more dangerous place, and I'm glad now that I'm saying each faith organization should have a safeguarding policy, should have a safeguarding lead, but they're the hidden ones that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And they're also the hidden ones where, as you said, adults can be fooled,
Yes.
And that, and some people believe so much in what pastor says.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not knowing that child is being abused, or knowing it's happening, but because pastor say
it's fine,
because pastor spins it his way or her way, or the youth worker spins it his way or her way, and then they think it's okay, and the child's not believed. Or this is what needs to happen. And also the ones where the rituals are involved as well, because there's that as well. So yes, we can't leave faith organizations out, and definitely it's a darker side with some of them.
Yeah.
And Basia, who says that education is only supposed to be in schools?
Absolutely.
Because I know a lot of education goes on in faith organizations. We have Sunday schools, we have the what do we call them? The
children's church.
Yes,
the
we have the
youth, we've got the
children's
youth
church, we have the
youth
youth
ministry, yeah.
exactly, and we have the madrasas as well.
Yes.
So what stops these institutions and these sections within faith organizations educating our young ones?
Yeah.
What stops them having discussions around this issue? It doesn't have to be about sex. It's about what issues are you going through? What are the things that are happening around you that you don't understand? So it depends on how we frame it, that you don't understand, you do not like, or that you want to change. These are some questions that we should be asking our faith organization, um, you know, Sunday school and all these sections. So education, this doesn't always have to only be in the school environment, and hence why we're still coming back to the same thing, that it is not about the education system encompassing. It is also about the parents getting involved and having an impact. There is no way you can send the child away to get educated, because what is it? Charity begins where? In
At
the
home.
house. So,
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Yemi. And like I said, if you notice, we keep bringing it back to the parents, because I think there's been a lot of, like you said, emphasis on. I don't want to use the school as a dumping ground, because that's quite harsh. But you take your children to school and then you switch off and you expect everything to be done there, and by the time they come back home, there's nothing left for you to do. But the learning still needs to continue once the children have come home. Sitting down and asking your kids how was school, and not just how was school, but what did you learn. It's difficult when you allow the school to do everything, because then it becomes very difficult for you as a parent to pick off from where the school has stopped. And I know in our Zoom and many of our shows, we've emphasized on parents getting involved in the children's school. Join the PTAs, go to open evenings, so that you can see. And you see, the reason why we say that you go to these places is not just about your child. It's always good to see how your child is with a teacher. You can see body language. You know, we have some predatory teachers in schools, and that is the truth, right? It would be it's always good for you to know who is that teacher sitting across. You know, watch the body language. So when your child is coming home and saying, I want to drop geography, even though you know geography is your child's best subject, your red flags should be flying all over the place. Why is my child who's scoring 90%, knowing she's going to scale GCSE or her A levels in geography, telling me she wants to drop geography? A parent would say, oh, okay, then take up history. You wouldn't want to find out why. These are the questions, parents, we need to be asking. These are the signs we need to be looking for. You need to know who your children are comfortable around and who they are not comfortable around. And this is at home, in church, in the schools, everywhere. Because sexual harassment doesn't come out from a can of drink. It comes from somewhere. It comes from an environment. And those environments, we are sending our children into those environments innocently. Okay, but you still need to understand the environment. I know within our community, and I guess you guys can back me up on this, because when I came back to this country and then I started having kids and they were telling me they want to go sleepover. And I didn't even know what that was, because we didn't do that back in the days. Where are you sleeping? You're sleeping in your bed. So when it was sleepover, and I thought, right, there's no point in me saying to this child, you can't go, because it was part of their social melee, right? I needed to now get some understanding, because I genuinely didn't know what a sleepover was. And then I was all right them going, but I wasn't all right with the children coming, and that wasn't right, because there needed to be a balance. And so I decided to try to get to know the families, and you found that it became easy because you now understood the environment, understood the dynamics of that family, they understood your dynamics, and it was easy. Not that we could have everybody, but this is part of the learning process we are talking about. And I'm not saying right now everybody start going to do sleepovers, because we've got COVID, life has changed, things are a little bit different. But the point I'm trying to make is understanding the environments your children are going to. Let's not have it in our mind that we know everything our children are doing, we know everywhere they are going, because we don't. Yeah. So I'd love to hear from some of our Facebook family, because I know we've got like a few of you on today. It would be amazing to hear your thoughts and your have some of your input on today's topic, which is looking at the failings of Ofsted, which is the body that regulates the education sector in the United Kingdom. But we would also like, even though we're speaking about Ofsted, we would also like to hear from, if anybody is outside of the country, if their take on sexual harassment within young people, because the issue here is that our children are, one, not speaking out, two, it's mainly girls, but we are saying as an organization, we think it's young boys too, young men too, young males too. So let's hear your voice today. Let's hear what you have to say. I can see a few of you. Omoti, you're on. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I think Omoti has also left a message saying that parents should spend more time with their children. Is it?
Right.
Parents spend more time, yes, should spend more time with their children, because their children are in schools, and the parents should continue from whatever have been imparted into the children from schools. Yes,
Yeah.
children spend a lot more time in schools. You know, we did the math some time ago,
Yeah.
and it is true that children spend a lot more time in schools, because some people say, okay, but they come home about I don't 4, and they have the whole day. Oh, but some of them have after school clubs. Some of them have extra lessons.
Mhm.
Some of them do not get home. Some of them get home after you are home. So they do spend a lot of time in education, depending on what you put them through. So it is true that a lot of our parents need to get more involved with our children. I believe that's what you're saying, Omoti. Um, and we have a lot of people who have joined us this evening, and we just want to welcome everyone who has joined us. I have put messages out, but yes, it is good to have you on board. Please let us hear your comments, your questions, and join in this conversation. Thank you. Sorry, guys. I just want
Okay,
to.
Nene has just typed something because I don't believe she can come on. And Nene has said parents should not be afraid to be firm and refuse associations or relationships that have questionable character.
Hmm,
Absolutely spot on.
hmm,
Absolutely. I think we've gotten to a point where we're kind of afraid to offend our children, if that's the right word. So your child will roll up with somebody, and like I've always said, you can never choose your children's friends for them, but you can have a say in something that you feel or see that is not right. So yes, Nina, that is absolutely spot on. We should be able to. And, as a parent, I do it all the time because you have that instinct. You can have that feeling, and you think this person. You don't judge them, and sometimes it would be a case of maybe the child or the friend you think is not the best, call them in because there could be issues in that young person's life, and it could be your child's interaction that is going to be a positive thing. But as parents, we really, really do need to be a lot more. We really need to be a lot more up there. Let's not be scared to speak, engage with our kids. This generation doesn't talk, guys. These millennials, they don't talk. They don't talk, and it is a problem. It's a massive problem. They don't talk. And we as parents, we have to try our best. To get in there. We have to break down those walls, because if not, we are going to have it's like a time bomb, a ticking time bomb.
I think we already have some things going because there's a large representation of young people with mental health problems, issues, and it doesn't always have to border on the extreme. We have a lot with depression. We have
Yes.
yeah, a lot of young people with depression. Mind you, I think the doctors as well also just prescribe these days, and they just add so quickly to conclude, because
Yes.
a lot of times if you address, I think a lot of we had a lot of safeguarding training. So I used to gear our doctors, our GPs to come on safeguarding training, because many times it's not about the medicine. It's
No.
about finding much more about what is going on in that
In that
child's
child.
family, in the home.
Exactly.
Some of these things, if the parents actually are educated enough to address it, will relieve this. There's some peace that comes with relief and happiness and joy within your living environment. I know with the safeguarding mantra, as I call it, is that they live the children they grow up in environments that are conducive and nurture them well. But it's not only about the school environment, it's also about the homes where they're living in. And depression, anxiety, the fear of going to school tomorrow,
Yeah.
a lot of these young children go through it because of what's happening in the school
The
that
school.
they're not able to talk to the teachers about, because please add bullying to it.
I
Because a
love
lot
that.
of yeah, add bullying to it, because the,
Love
the
that.
the bullying, manifests into harassment, manifests into sexual harassment. The
Yeah.
children can't talk to anyone in the
Yeah.
school. If you talk to somebody in the school, they're coming for you.
It's
And
true. It's
if you can't
true.
talk to the school, then you should be able to talk to somebody at home. And
Yes.
there should be somebody at home who is willing to listen. And after listening, take action.
Sure.
There are two things. If a child comes to you, one, you don't take action. Two, you don't take action. They're not coming back to talk
They're
to
not
you.
coming back. You're right. You're
And
right.
you're leaving them to wallow in their own anxiety, in their own depression. God, it's a big problem. I don't want to think about any young person that's going through that sort of situation.
Alone.
Yes, it's very sad. So I know it's hard for parents, I know, because a lot of times these young people make it look like you talk rubbish.
Yeah.
I have two boys,
Yeah,
so I'm
it does.
sorry. We've all
Yes,
been
it
through
does.
this, because when
Yeah.
when you talk and you're thinking like, yeah, what are you talking about?
What are
What are
you
you talking
talking
about,
about?
What do
You're
you
right.
know? What do you know,
mom?
mommy?
Yeah,
You
What
from
do
the
you know?
olden age. You from the olden age. You don't know
yeah,
anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And they think that they know more than you, and that rightfully so. People need to go back and listen to the millennial video shows that we've done, because a
Yeah.
lot of them are millennials now, and them and the internet, they're buddies. The
Yeah.
old I always say to them, I said, no matter how much you're knowledgeable, there is something that's called wisdom and knowledge, and it
It's not
comes
in
from
the internet.
experience. I'm shouting out to parents, let no millennial, let no child tell you that they know more than you,
Yeah.
because if anything, you're older, you're wiser, you have more knowledge, and you have more experience than
Exactly.
them. So
And can I
ask my millennials, they will tell you that that's how we roll.
Nene says also teach our children to be contented. Oh, where's that gone? Hold on a minute. Teach our children to be contented. Lack of contentment has a strong influence on our children, especially with friends who have everything they want. This is huge. This is a big one. I don't know if I shared that story of the lady who had a brand new Mercedes in the family, and then she had a normal, well, what's normal? A Mercedes is a normal car. And she had another car, which was an older car, maybe a 10-year-old car. And she went to pick up her daughter in the 10-year-old car, and not the Mercedes. And the daughter, she did a 360-degree turn, and she lost it. And the mother was actually thrown back by her daughter's reaction. And it was all the facts that this was an older car. All her friends were picked up in maybe current day registration cars. But then the mother had to talk with her daughter and made her understand that you've got not one, you've got two cars. Forget the age, forget what the cars look like, that there are some families who don't have a car. So their kids walk everywhere. And when she made her daughter understand it from that angle, she got through to her. And the following morning, the daughter said, Mum, let's go in the old car. And this was a true life story. She's actually a friend of mine. And I was so proud of the fact that happened. But that is very much in line with what Nene has just typed, because this generation, there is a lot, but who do you, and I know parents are going to probably stone me through my computer, but when we're talking about contentment and our kids, where are they learning? Where are they learning this from? Sometimes we are so quick to say this generation, they want everything, okay? But they sit in homes and they probably watch you buy 10 pairs of shoes, and, every week you're ordering something on eBay and sitting down, and then you're expecting your children to be content. Come on. Sometimes we've got to put the mirror up in front of us and see where this learning is coming from. That being said, I am in no way saying that we give children everything they want at a drop of a hat. That's not what we're talking about. But you've got to understand that children are like sponges and they soak up every little thing from their environment. So thank you so much for that, Nene. You're so right. We really do have to be careful about that and teach our children contentment. Go ahead, Yemi.
Let's
I just
just
want
take
to
some
welcome
more.
Jacqueline before you start. Hi, Jacqueline. Good
Yeah.
evening. All the way from our good
KD.
old country, Nigeria, KD. Jacqueline, can you hear us? Are you there? Okay, maybe she's on, but she's okay. We'll come back to you later, Jacqueline. Just wanted to welcome you to the forum. Go ahead, Yem.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm actually.
Are you driving?
Yes.
Okay, you drive safe. Thank you so much for coming on. Okay, love. Take care.
Attention.
Thank you. Go ahead, Yem.
Yeah, but
Okay.
can I just quickly say is that this is a very timely topic. Taking a look at what's going on around us is a very timely topic.
Yeah.
Well done, guys.
Thank you.
I think we should be talking about this, not just once, but we should really, really talk about how we're bringing up our children and where they're learning all of these things from.
Yeah.
Well done. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. Oh, I wanted
Thank
to
you.
all right, love. I wanted to bring us to we've had a lot of questions from Facebook and comments. We have Omoti saying, please, what is your take on children clubbing? Hold that thought. And some parents who don't allow their children to go clubbing, parents who don't allow their children to go clubbing due to fear of the unknown. Okay, you're writing that down,
Of
please.
course.
Okay, and we have Miss I don't know, Ajagun Bukola, and she says yes, wisdom and knowledge, and says some children. Okay, yes, I think those are the ones that I can pick up for now. So can we just discuss those, please?
Over to you, children and clubbing.
Me?
Okay, why should children be in the club anyway?
Children age
Yeah,
0
well,
to 18.
okay. Are we
So
talking of
we need to be looking at what is that age that you're talking about. If
yeah.
they're over 18, and I think at some point in 16 you have an age of competence. I think
Yeah.
it's 16.
Mm.
And I know that this a couple of these ladies who are asking these questions are actually also from Ireland. So Omoti, let us know in Ireland what is what age? Yes. What do you have any 18 years? Okay, she says 18 years.
Okay, they're adults.
Teenagers, she meant. Yeah, they're adults.
They're adults.
So there is so much that you can do with stopping them from I want to see you try. With stopping them from going out. Our culture gives us this blankets and this deception that and depend on how you bring up your children or how what measures you've left in the house where they have that respect that okay you're able to say no, don't go, even though they're over 18, and they respect you, they respect your the roof over their head. But the government has a different law. So this comes back down to parenting is start as you mean to go.
That's what you mean to go.
Start as you mean to go. So if you want to be able to say to your children past the age of 18, you can't do this and you can't do that, and it's not you can't, it's that you're reasoning with them, the goods, the bads, the do's and the don'ts, and then they would see your reasoning, follow your reasoning, and decide not to go. But I don't think there's an enforcement after 18. It's down to understanding, discussions, reasoning, and respect. Now that's coming from me as you ask this.
Okay, thank you for that. That was good. what I would like to throw out there is, because we're talking of 18-year-olds, in the case where your 18-year-old leaves home and goes to university, or some of them in the UK, they leave home, go to college far away, get a place with their friends. Do you know what they're actually doing? Do you know if they're going to the club? Do you know if they're doing? I've always said, I never ever want anybody to come and tell me what they saw my child doing. I always want to know myself. So when you come and say to me, I saw your child doing this, I'll be like, yeah, I'm aware. Yeah. It's about parenting. Like Yemi rightly said, the way you parent your child, yeah, is the way your child is going to grow. In the UK, we know once a child is 18, by law, they're adults. So like Yemi rightly said, it's down to your parenting style. You know, have you raised your child to respect your values, your opinions, how you want to live, not how you want them to live, but how you want to live. So if the child is in your home and you don't want them to go clubbing, that's your home. You have every right. It's your prerogative to say, well, this is my home. I don't think I want you coming in 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. But when that child is no longer with you, would you not feel more comfortable knowing that my child will go out and come back at a healthy time and know how to keep themselves safe while they're out there? Because what you find is when you are holding a child, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. One day you're going to have to let go of that child. And the downside is you would not have prepared that child to survive in that crazy environment. Now, it's hard. It's not easy letting your children go. It's not. But it's better that you're, you prepare them for that. So in answer, would you let your children, well, I'm going to change that because children don't club. 18 plus, just teach them fear of the unknown. I like that. Yeah, there's always going to be fear of the unknown. And that's not just with your children. That's even with us. You get up, you go into a plane, you don't know what's going to happen. Are you going to touch down? You don't know. You don't even know what's going to happen when you cross the road tomorrow. It's always fear of the unknown. Yeah. Obviously, I'm a Christian. I walk in faith, but that doesn't mean all of you have to. Prepare your child for fear of that unknown, rather than hold them back. So Omoti, I hope that's kind of answered your question. I think it's more about the parenting style and how you ready your child for, it might not just be clubbing. It could just be readying your child for not being within your environment. They're going to go at some point. So have you prepared them to be able? I remember years ago, my son did a sleepover and he was supposed to come back at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, is that me?
Because the fact that you know or you've taught your child doesn't mean the next family have taught their child. Okay, so like I said, it's your parenting style. There's nothing wrong with clubbing so far as you teach them to do it properly. I like my old school jams. I like to go and rock, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done properly. There's got to be mutual respect. Yeah. So you say to your child, okay, go, be back by XYZ. That child should respect you enough to know that mommy said or daddy said, I've got to be back by this time. And they do that. And then you're teaching them so that when you're no longer there, they'll do that anyway. I'm sure you all can agree that a lot of what we think about now as mothers are basically what our mothers were telling us 10, 15, 20 years ago. We didn't want to hear it. Now we're using it. And the cycle will continue. So Omoti, that's my take on your question. And I hope myself and Yemi have done it justice. Okay.
I think she's happy with our responses. I also think that like you said, we like our old school jams. You go, you have some fun, and you come home. A lot of parents have not been into the four walls of the clubbing environment,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they have no idea.
Exactly.
Now, there are other things that what are the rules of engagement when you're going to a club? Please
Yeah.
just stop. Do you know that there are rules of engagement when you go to a club?
There
What are
are.
the rules about leaving your drinks? What are the
Mhm.
rules about going to the loo? What do you don't go by yourself, go with somebody? There
Yep.
are rules within that environment that you need to follow.
Sure.
And if you're going to be if they're coming up to that age, it's down to us as parents to
Mhm.
educate yourself. Educate yourself, because if you're going to be talking to these millennials, you have to be talking intelligently. Oh. If you're not talking intelligently, they will not take you seriously.
They're the why generation. They ask why. We never asked why because we weren't really allowed to ask why. You were told. This generation asks why. And I'm hoping that as they're asking why, we're not taking it personal.
Yeah.
They mean it in such an amazing way because they're very intelligent. They're very, you know, so yeah,
They're
yeah.
open
Sorry, Em.
to a lot of devices, and
Mhm.
once you're able to discuss that, I think what works with them is discussions. It's not the some of us are very old school, say because I said so. Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes we do the because I said so, because
yeah,
I said so, but many times it's about getting into a conversation with them,
yeah,
learn what they're thinking, how they're thinking, and sometimes you might be able to use it to still win your point,
yeah.
because what's that thing where you use their own, what's that word, where you use somebody's thoughts and whatever. I'm going to find that English word. I'm the one that
The
with the
heat
words.
won't allow me to speak English this evening. Sorry.
Yes, yeah, feel free to unmute yourself. It's that thing where you reverse psychology.
Oh, reverse psychology. There you go. That was a big one for me
Yes.
tonight, Yem. Sorry, go ahead.
Many times when you know the way they're thinking, how they're thinking, what they're thinking,
Mm,
please learn to use reverse psychology. Yes, you're very correct. Yes, I agree with you. Yes, really, I actually thought so too. Hmm. In
And
my opinion, though,
yeah,
and
and
then you
how are
hit
you
the
gonna
nail on the head.
fund that project?
Yes, yes.
yes.
By the time you
And then you
finish
get
with
them
them
to
and you
start
ask the right
thinking.
questions, their brain is saying, I'm thinking, right, okay.
And
Okay, mom, what do you think I should do? Sit down, let's talk.
exactly. That's why I do use a reverse psychology. I listen, and I find key things I can throw back at them to get them
Yeah.
to think.
Yeah, yeah.
Deborah says at 18, it's communication. Hi, Debs. Good evening. Deborah is our child psychologist. So Deborah said at 18, it's communication, not giving orders in order to get the best outcome. And that's it. That's the key. It is about communicating,
Absolutely.
engaging. Omoti says getting children to respect moral values in diaspora is a tough one due to fear of social workers.
Mm, okay.
Okay.
And I think there is a I don't want to use the word fear. There's got to be another word. Um, of social workers.
Misunderstanding.
It's misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Misunderstanding.
Good. It's a misunderstanding of social workers. I would tell you now, and I think everybody who works in social care, who has ever worked around social care in any way, will tell you that you're taking a child from you is the last
Thing
thing
they
that
want
they
to
want.
do.
They don't have the money. Sure. I'm sorry, they don't have the money.
Yeah.
We would rather look at interventions. We would rather work with you to do that. However, when do you sense that significant harm in the way, then we really need to start looking at different options. And when you
Option.
as parents you're not engaging, we need to look at, and the way we are in our culture. When the things is then we start to shout to, and we start to and he's like and the things that you say. That phrase when the police says what you say used as evidence against
Yes,
you,
yes,
it is
yes.
a fact. You're just raving. I'm going to kill myself if you do this. Yeah, you kidding? Alarm bell one, red. And those are the things. So we need to start understanding social care, understanding how social care works, and understanding that the more we engage, the better it is for the intervention to work.
And can I
And
just
in
add to what you've
You're
just
laughing.
said
yeah,
quickly, Yemi? What
Yes,
you've just said now, it takes me straight back to our immigration program, which incidentally we're having on the 19th of June,
on Saturday, this Saturday.
this Saturday. Misinformation. There is a lot of there is misunderstanding about how real social workers work, but you're all happy. Everybody is happy to listen to people who are not social workers and get the wrong information.
Yeah.
And that wrong information leads you down the path, which then attracts the actual social workers. But by the time we've attracted the actual social workers, it's all gone belly up.
Yes.
And this is why we keep saying you need to always make sure that your information is coming from the correct source. Social workers are not bad people. Like we've said, they're not out to take your children, but you need to understand their role. You need to understand how they work. You need to understand why they've come. They've come to support you because you have an issue in the family with your child or children. But please, you really, really, really need to parenting classes. That's all I'm going to say. We're throwing it out there now. Parenting classes, because it's when you come for those classes, we have these discussions. It will possibly be a lot more than what we're doing here on the Zoom. Here, we're just giving you snippets. But if you do sign up, when you do sign up for our classes, you would get a lot more information. So please watch this space. And because I spoke about our Home Office program, we are here live this Saturday, the 19th of June, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. If you have children coming in, young children or young people coming in from outside of the country to study, we are going to be looking at international students, what's happening, what you can do, what you shouldn't do. So international students this week Saturday, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. We will post the link in the chat. If you would like to have a one-to-one session with the immigration officers, you need to fill out the form and you will be allocated a confidential space on the Zoom after the program where you can ask questions to the Home Office Immigration Enforcement team. It is confidential. You are behind the camera. You are not, it is not mandatory that you show your faces. We want to protect you. We want to keep you as safe as possible whilst you're going through whatever you're going through with your immigration. We will also be discussing the Windrush compensation scheme. We would also be discussing the EU settlement scheme, which is incidentally finishing on the 30th of June. So if you do know anybody who needs knowledge, needs to understand how the scheme works, what the scheme is about, are they entitled? And we did say last week, it is not just for those of you in Europe. Is that correct, Yemi?
Yes.
Yeah, please, if you would like to share, based on the EU, the parties that are allowed, to partake in that scheme, just in case there are viewers who are watching, so that they can spread the word. Oh, so have I caught you? Okay, while Yemi is doing what she's doing, because I think what Yemi does while I'm gassing is she's talking to Facebook, while Marcia is also holding the fort. Are you able to take that now, Yem?
Yes, what I was trying to do was just to share the program for Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to do that now and share it. So you have, because as you were talking, I just thought it might be best to just put up
Share. That's fine.
that
That's fine.
poster. So there you are. It's Saturday, the 19th of June, and it's the Home Office Immigration Engagement one-to-one signposting and support for and it's not just the UK, it's the United Kingdom, it's international students, career opportunities as well. EU settlement scheme, Windrush. So with that, as you were asking, is also that with the Windrush EU settlement, with the Windrush scheme, it also relates to Commonwealth citizens. So it's not only the Windrush. When you say Windrush, you're looking at the the Caribbean islands and all of them, but you're also looking at Commonwealth citizens. So you're looking at countries like, hey, okay, are we still part of the Commonwealth? We're looking at countries like
Yeah.
Nigeria,
Yeah, we
African
still
countries.
we haven't
Things
left it
change
yet.
so much. We don't know. We have the name and not the benefits. So hey, if you are from any of these countries that are that have that Commonwealth attachment, please and just come on, because there are, there are financial benefits and all the things that are owed to you as a Commonwealth citizen if you were born within a certain time, or if you're in the UK at a certain time. So if you just have, you're just thinking about it, you don't understand, you want to know, get the facts. Yep, come on Saturday, the 19th of June at 12 p.m. We will be there till 3 p.m. We have 2 hours with the immigration engagement team, and they talk about safeguarding as well. You'd be
Yes.
surprised. So we need to understand that there are safeguarding issues that give you priority to get your status sorted. Please engage. And also the fact that you have a one-to-one. I think the last, depending on how many people, the last 1 hour or 45 minutes is dedicated to one-to-one session where you're able to sit away from everyone, all the praying eyes, and speak to the engagement team. There is no time when you actually have 6, 7 immigration officers who look at different issues and are able to sit down. And also, we have an in-house lawyer as well who will sit with you and give you advice. So please, let's not take this for granted and use it. Thank you, Giz.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Yemi. Thank you. So yeah, that's for our Saturday program. And next week, Wednesday, the 23rd of June, we are going to party. It's officially our 1 year birthday. Yes, SaffronSACAP will be 1 year old. The voiceover talk show will be 1 year old. We started it exactly a year ago, next week, Wednesday. And we just want to use this opportunity to say thank you to each and every one of you who have graced the occasions with your presence. Because if you guys don't come on, it's just three of us bantering. No, we're really, really humbled, by your presence, by your you guys tell us what you want us to deliberate on. We speak to you, we are listening, guys, we are listening. And because we're listening, we go away, we do the research, we get guest speakers on, because we are not all experts in everything. We know some things, but we don't know everything. So we get the experts on. And what we will ask for July is please, if there's anything that we have not shared on our programs, which you feel is affecting you, affecting somebody within the community, please let us know. You can drop an email. We have our social media handles. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. And we've also got a WhatsApp page. So please drop in whatever. We are not scared to handle anything. We will cover every topic, but we need to hear from you, because once you tell us the challenges, then we walk away and we go and look for positive outcomes. The guidance and support is out there, guys. Talk to the right people. It's very important you get your information from the right source. Over to you, Yemi. You're muted. How are you muted? How is our boss muted? What is that about? Go ahead.
Oh gosh. I just really wanted to congratulate the G's, the 4Gs, Kings and Queens group. It is also their 1 year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's Omoti, Queen Omoti, Kings and Queens. We just wanted to say happy anniversary.
Happy
Congratulations.
anniversary. Congrats. It's not easy. Well done. Well done.
You like our birthday mates too, so we need to
Yeah.
recognize you. And not just that, it's also because I'm just going to say that they have been one of the best groups on Facebook that have engaged with our discussions.
Awesome.
Very active, very productive, very interactive. They share, they share all our programs as well. So I just wanted to say thank you and congratulations, and wishing you very, very many successful and productive years ahead. Also, we had a discussion with Omoti that we're going to, these two groups are going to collaborate in July, uh, because they are based in well, Omoti is based in Ireland, and a lot of times we've discussed that there are some issues that are pertinent to the Black African communities
Yeah.
in Ireland,
Mhm.
and we've had discussions. We've picked out the issues, we've listed them out. So we want to, for want of a better word, trash them out in July. Hopefully, we'll probably have maybe two sessions or two shows. But there is this this engagement is throughout the UK and across the waters as well. So, like we engage with Scotland, we are looking forward to doing this with the 4Gs, Omoti, and the Kings and Queens in the 4Gs, which is all about God, goals, growing, and glowing. Okay,
I like that.
thank you. I hope I got that right. Omoti, please feel free. Um, and get some people to come on the Zoom. Don't stay on Facebook. Follow the links and come on Zoom and have these discussions with us.
Sure.
All right, me done.
Awesome. Awesome. So without much ado, it is now 4 minutes past 8. I'm just going to allow it because we're in celebration mode. But please, 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 guys, we would like all of you on with us next week, Wednesday. Don't forget the Saturday we'll be here for the immigration hub. The Wednesday after Saturday, we will be here on Wednesday to celebrate our birthday. Please put your bestie, the best dress on, don't come with your bottle of drink. We're going to party. We are really going to party because it's been 1 year, pre-COVID, post-COVID, and we're still all here. It is something that we really need to be thankful about. And we are happy that those of you that are still here are still here. And we still raise, a prayer to those that we lost along the way, because we lost quite a few people due to the pandemic. But yeah, we will be celebrating Wednesday. Hopefully, no, not hopefully, we'll be celebrating. I'm not going to say how or where. I'm just going to say we'll be celebrating.
Say where.
Okay, then. I wanted to surprise them, but no, we're going to be live from our office in Gillingham, which we are actually opening. This will be the first opening, official opening since lockdown. So we're really excited. We're going to be hosting live from our office
African Caribbean Center.
Yeah, we're going to be hosting from our office in Gillingham, Kent, and we are actually going to be inside our African and Caribbean Center. So guys, it's going to be awesome. Please, 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 we're going to get the links out earlier, and we want you to share to everywhere. We don't take this lightly, in as much as Wednesday is going to be about fun, but SaffronSACAP, we take safeguarding very serious. And we can only do this when you, as a people, come out and say to us, this is what we want to happen. and we will collaborate, we will partnership, we will work with you, because #together we can. It's only when we come together to make that change is going to happen. So everybody, be the change you want to see. Have an amazing evening. It's been awesome. Jacqueline, thank you so much. Nene, thank you so much. Omoti and her group, you guys are amazing. Buzzing on Facebook. Love you all. We will be coming to Dublin. We will be coming to Dublin. We need to make that trip. Yeah, we could do a live Zoom from Dublin. Have a good evening, everybody, and we will see you on Saturday for the Immigration Hub and on Wednesday for our 1-year party. Good evening and good night.
Night,
Bye.
Nene. Night, Jacqueline.
Bye. Bye, Jacqueline. Bye.